Abraham Lincoln once said, with great power comes great rankings. This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. It is Cam Stuart of Locked On Baylor, who's here to deduce and break down all of the Big 12 power rankings that are here for you this week. Then, ESPN's FPI is a joke. Alabama's back to like number 4 in the country. And on top of that, the AP poll is a joke. Arizona State dropped out altogether despite losing on the road against an SEC opponent. And as we know, the SEC is the best conference of all time. And lastly, ESPN's FPI just told me BYU is going to win every single game on its football schedule. 12-0. The Big 12 needs a powerhouse. Is it the Cougars? Do we know enough to say yes? If you hit subscribe, we get to keep our jobs. Without further ado, number 1 of my power rankings would be the only team in the Big 12 that has beaten 2 Power 4 schools, waxed poetic. The only FCS school they played, who was number 4 in the FCS. I'm going with Iowa State once again. Actually, my top 5 from last week did not change. TCU was on a bye week after blowing out Bill Belichick. Utah, once again, looked very sturdy against an awful team. They were playing an ass university. BYU held Stanford to like 3 points.
Same kind of opponent, yep.
And Texas Tech.
FCS school, yeah.
Genuinely, yes. And then Texas Tech took care of business with a blowout again of a very inferior team. I'm fairly confident any way you slice it. Iowa State, TCU, Utah, BYU, Texas Tech are your top 5, and it's kind of tough to get around that. It just depends on the order. The order is where it's subjective.
I don't know, man.
Okay.
I think I can put my Baylor Bears in the top 5.
All right, there he goes.
Like, seriously. At some point, look, at some point in a ranking, we have to say who they played.
Oh, no.
At some point, you got to do that, man.
SMU just scored again. Not good.
Chill. Baylor's about to score in 5 seconds, which is a long time, okay? Which is a long time. It wasn't one of those games on Saturday where I said,
Is this real? Are you playing a bit right now?
No, I'm not, dude.
Okay.
Like, no. Like, Tech, good team. Good team. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Who have they beaten? Pine Bluff and Kent State. They can't even schedule anyone in the state of Texas. Come on.
And the Kent State center, did you see his snap?
They literally can't even snap the football, man. Like, come on.
That was good.
Baylor's the only opponent so far in Auburn's schedule. Good enough win for Auburn to get him in the top 25. Look, that's some Baylor respect there. That's true. Some Baylor respect there. Of course, then SMU loses to Baylor and drops out of the top 25, so at least 9 spots. But you get my point. You went on the road against a top 20 team that was in the college football playoff last year. Yeah. Noted hostile environment, right? Ford Stadium. Everyone knows you can't just go in there and expect
no one in the 4A. No one in the 4A in Texas high school football can walk out alive.
You can't just expect an easy victory. But they showed a lot of balls and they went in and won that game. Am I saying that like they're gonna win the Big 12? Yes, I am. But I think they deserve a spot in that top 5. They certainly they need to be ahead of Houston, man.
So this is where
has Houston scored 40 points yet?
Because
Baylor has one time.
Houston hasn't allowed a point.
I know that's difficult.
That's where I get that's why I have Houston. So I have a gap there. There's where my gap sits. Was it an acronym for something, or was it just the gap?
I don't know, man.
I'm pretty sure it was just gap. Houston at 6 for me, Baylor at 7, Arizona at 8. You'll notice Arizona State is not up there. The power rankings are for what have you done for me lately, and they've done nothing for me.
If we're talking about what have you done for me lately, what did TCU do this week?
That's good. We'll put Baylor above.
What did they
TCU
do this weekend? I mean, look, come on.
So Houston at 6 because to me it is more impressive. Now, yes, they have played Rice and Stephen F. Austin, 100%. They scored 35 in one of those, 27 in the other. They've allowed 9 points, 4.5 points per game. Baylor, on the other hand, has allowed 38 and 45. The Baylor offense is very good. Defense wins championships. And Houston was my dark horse from the beginning of this season. Baylor's defense, I genuinely, I tweeted this out. I hope Jake Spavital opens every meeting, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just double birding Dave Aranda. I want you to know how miserable you make my life. Because
look, dude, I'm thinking though for Spav, it makes him real attractive as a head coach job. I mean, he's in T-minus 3 months.
The Texas State experiment went so well.
He's going to be in 3 or 4 interviews. He's going to be saying, "Look at this defense.
Yeah,
look at what I was having to deal with every single game."
I also, and this too, I know it's a very Baylor-centric power rankings that we've had today, but I was very upset that Dave Aranda wasn't upset about genuinely anything once again this weekend. One of the worst calls college football could ever pull out of its butt against Baylor on a play where the punt returner is just thrown to the ground by an SMU player, and the ball hits off of the punt returner, and SMU is granted the football inside the Baylor 20-yard line. Also, there's a flag for blocking the back against the receiving team.
I've just never seen anything quite like that.
It was baffling. And Dave Aranda was like, you know what? It's chill, man. Those guys just doing their jobs.
He's like, I was trying to kind of figure it out myself.
He's
like,
watching
really,
and he's like, man, Nero's got a point. He's a damn good fiddle player. There's something about this that just makes sense. My number 9 team is Arizona State. Kansas at 10. I thought the Arizona State loss was, it was a little bit tighter than Kansas. That said, Kansas led a good portion of the game. You could probably flip those two, but Arizona State still has the prowess of a Big 12 championship.
Arizona State one probably more frustrating, though.
Yeah.
They showed most that second half like they should have won that game comfortably.
And 11 wins last year against a 2-win team, and I hated that there were people going, well, it's one of the toughest places in the country to play. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Other teams have no problem with it.
Right. This is not. I can't.
The entire conference has no problem with it.
Artificial noisemakers. Yeah, the World Cup has those things. It doesn't mean you can't. Just still be able to beat the Caribbean.
Oklahoma State has artificial noisemakers. Do you think that's a tough place to go right now?
Oh, geez. 12 Cincinnati.
A couple weeks.
13 UCF, which honestly is higher than I thought we would see UCF. I've then just recused West Virginia from being here out of pity. It's not even
is that the only one?
No. There have been 2 very different situations. I have recused West Virginia from the rankings this week. They don't need to be here. I don't want to rub it in. Then there's Kansas State, and they don't exist any longer. That is the worst loss. That is the worst loss of the Big 12 season so far.
Really?
Yeah, Army lost to Tarleton State.
Yeah.
Tarleton's not even a state. Army lost to Tarleton State,
correct.
And then
barely
Kansas State said, we're just going to lose to you. We're going to have
no, I guess that's fair. Arizona State lost to a 2-10 team from last year as the Big 12 champs like that. But also Kansas State was one of the favorites, if not the favorite to win the
on the road
year.
SEC team at home against the U.S. military.
And if we're talking about margin of defeat, well, let's
Yep. So at number 15, I have added in William and Mary to the conference, but that is with the caveat William cannot be there. He's not in the room. So he
goes to another school. Yep.
It is just the Mary of William and Mary is still somehow above Oklahoma State. I don't like being the only coach that I ever want to tell the world to fire is Dave Aranda. but I hate it, man, because
were you surprised?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, were you surprised that there was no resignation Saturday night?
That's a tough one to come back from.
That wouldn't have shocked me.
69-3 is a different level.
That's brutal. Who would you rather be right now, real quick? Who would you rather be? Kansas State, Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma State. You're closer to a legitimate decision. You're closer to
hitting the button.
That's going to fix this.
And for all we talked about with Baylor the last 2 years of young coaches around this area that could be ready, that's not far from Oklahoma State either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You talk GJ Kinney, you talk Jeff Traylor and all this. Rhett Lashley was a name that came up a few years ago. Maybe even he would make a jump, but that jump's not as big anymore.
He wants to go to the Power 3.
Yeah. If he wants to do that, Oklahoma State's right there.
Yes, it does.
Can keep recruiting the same kids.
So it's number 1, Iowa State on the power rankings this week. Number 2, TCU. 3, Utah. 4, BYU. 5, Texas Tech. That's where I find my gap. 6, Houston.
The gap
7, Baylor.
Too.
8, Arizona, 9, Arizona State. Kansas is at 10, 11, Colorado. Cincinnati, 12th, 13th, UCF. Then Oklahoma State's at 16th. There are 2 teams that I'm just going to give a pass. One of them gets a free pass. The other one is dead. Just
NA, honorable mention. Also
coming up,
receiving votes.
ESPN's FPI. It sucks. Locked on Big 12. Locked on Baylor. What up? Today's show is brought to you by Supply House. Why? Because Supply House is exactly where I go now that I own a house. It's a fixer-upper, and I need to fix this and up that. And to do that, Supply House is exactly where I go for the 280,000 parts they have, like plumbing, HVAC, electrical items. Real-time inventory as well. Honest lead times help you keep from punting projects. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support lines. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. Supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service with Supply House. Today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. China Spring runs on Game Time, and so do the tickets of our great nation. If you want to go to a college football game and do it for cheap, Game Time. With college football being back, I could not be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like a hassle, a battle. That's why I use Game Time. Pull up the Game Time app, and a couple of taps, bam, amazing deals. As low as $25 for your favorite college football team, especially these zone deals and last-second tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets and do it with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off at Game Time. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time. Do it today. They have done it again. ESPN has utilized its FPI to completely ruin what we love about college football. This is a travesty. And what I mean by that is Alabama blown out by FSU. And I hate in this country how we automatically go, well, Florida State must be a top 10 team. it gotta be. Like Alabama.
It's them that are wrong, basically, is what they're saying.
Alabama,
like we weren't wrong. They were.
Just be bad. It's fine. Now Alabama is number 4 in the country. Florida loses to USF, right? The big mighty SEC losing to Southern Florida. They fall to 23, and 12 SEC teams are crammed in here. Shout out to Big Ten Information and News for bringing this up on 3 for the graphic. ESPN's FPI is it's a computer. It's like if the BCS wanted to, can I say fellatio?
You did. Fillate.
Uh-huh. The SEC. Yeah. This is that's probably allowed. That's probably above the little minds. So I'm gonna, because it's 7, it's marginal, right? This is the ESPN FPI top 25 that is built solely as a PR machine for the SEC. And you see Alabama at 4. Why is USC at 5?
I have not heard. I'm not going to lie to you. I might have missed something. I have not heard anything about USC through 2 weeks, 3 weeks of college football. No idea who they played.
Like, why is Arkansas? They won. Why is Arkansas at 18? Yeah, their schedule's going to be hard.
How about this generational run for you, 17 through 19? These are all your teams, all in a row. BYU, Arkansas, TCU.
Riff Ram,
and then there's a cock right after it. I mean, it's like it's perfect.
Look at these zoos.
Drake Toll to a T.
I need to ask Gary Patterson where the Riff Ram thing came from. Because when they beat,
it's just a bunch of nonsense.
Did you see the locker room celebration after the TCU North Carolina game? It's like Sonny Dykes walks in the middle of the room and he's like, all right, guys, we're going to do it one more time. 1, 2, 3. And they all do the Riff Ram, zoo, look at this, zoo. And it's orchestrated mumbling. Is what it is.
It's very bizarre. It's complete gibberish.
And here's
were they Pentecostals? Were they speaking in tongues?
That's the problem. Is sometimes I get into these situations where I make fun of things, and they're like, "Oh, well, the team wore those jerseys for cancer patients." I'm like, the jerseys still look terrible, but I get it. So if it was one of those, like, a terminally ill child, these
who had not really spoken English yet.
These were their final words. Riff Ram Bazoo, and we think they loved TCU. That's where, like, egg on my face.
Likely what happened, I think.
But we do see some Big 12 teams that get to hang out here. But Auburn's at 11. Again, the Baylor factor.
I think that should be taken into account for the power index.
Missouri at 12. The Kansas factor. Hello. Every time that the SEC beats the Big 12, they get to improve, but the Big 12 is terrible in the mind of ESPN and their small computer that they have. Again, Florida still being in this thing is a travesty. And I don't look. I'm not the subscriber to South Carolina being the best team in the country, but why are they at 20 and USC at 5? I've actually seen South Carolina do something,
Yeah, and here's this kind of going to go hand in hand with this. What really took me by surprise on this is it's a PR for the SEC, but there's clearly a ton of Big Ten flavor in here. That's how you get USC to 5. Well, Oklahoma they won by a score, but they more or less worked one of the top Big Ten teams just 2 days ago. And they're sitting there at 22. Sorry, what has Arkansas done that makes them better than Oklahoma? Where is that in the computer here? A&M or USC, what have they done that's better than Oklahoma? I'm not following. I'm sorry. Same thing with Miami. Did Miami not just beat Notre Dame? What are we doing? And I get it. Oh, it's not the actual rankings. It's the power index. But what am I missing here?
Yeah, and when they say
it might
football,
be the only one that's got Illinois correct at 24. It's the top. The AP's got them in the top 10. I don't know where that's coming from, but they might be the only one that got that right.
When they say football power index, I still don't really know what that means, and no one can explain to me why the algorithm is what the algorithm is. But it's where we sit now. How about this? Try this on for size. The AP poll, no better. When we asked the human beings to do it, they're like, "Oh shoot, how many SEC teams can we fit inside of our AP poll?" The answer was, I think this is 11. I didn't count it. I believe it's 11. LSU at number 3, which I think they could be the number 1 team in the country. LSU's looked pretty darn good, even if they were sloppy this week. But I like the Clemson win on the road. Georgia was bad against Austin Peay. Scored 27-7 final score, I believe. That's not good against Austin Peay. We've already seen Texas lose. South Carolina at 11 feels fair. They have that quarterback, and he's good.
Yeah, I know. I want to see them beat somebody. I like South Carolina. I think they're a good team, but I do want to see them beat somebody. But
here's where we get to just, 15, Tennessee. Where did they come from? Who decided that? Who thought at 15, 16 Texas A&M? I mean, really, Oklahoma could be included in this. Oh, you beat 7-6 Michigan at home.
Mm-hmm.
Congrats. The idea that Ole Miss can struggle with Kentucky, and we didn't like them preseason. Now we like them. Alabama is at 19. BYU is unranked. There are Big 12 schools that are behind Alabama. That Texas Tech is behind Alabama. No. Then again, the Baylor factor and the Kansas factor. Auburn at 24, Missouri at 25. How do you not like these teams whatsoever? And then first, in the case of most of them, they struggle against a Big 12 opponent or an ACC opponent, but win. And now you're like, oh, shoot, we forgot. They're supposed to be top 25.
Yeah, that's where it's kind of getting me. It's we're going to put this kind of respect for Auburn and Missouri for beating Big 12 teams. Okay, fine. I can, as someone who's a Big 12 propagandist, I'm here for that. But then why is Texas Tech falling a spot? You know what I mean? If we have such respect for the Big 12, why is Iowa State at 14 if we have such respect for the Big 12? I mean, they're sitting there at 3-0. They've beaten a Big 10 team and what some believed was the best Big 12 team going into this season. So why does Auburn and Missouri get the respect for beating a Big 12 team, but Iowa State doesn't? They've beat a Big 10 and a Big 12 team. You'd be hard pressed to find 3 teams ahead of them that have the resume that Iowa State has so far. And that doesn't normally mean, I know how the AP poll works. I'm not that much of an idiot. I know that doesn't mean Iowa State gets in the top 5, but that's where it's not adding up to me.
Josh Pate has that poll that he does every week.
Yeah.
And I don't think Pate does anything with it. I don't think it's not his opinion whatsoever. He doesn't actually power rank the teams.
He's got his own algorithm thing.
Sure, but the algorithm isn't an algorithm. He goes to FanDuel and says neutral site matchup, who wins?
Yeah, that's his computer. Yeah.
And the FanDuel is like, oh, Alabama's favored by 9 against Florida State. So we just saw the game. But Pate's like, man, Alabama number 2. And
I think he also said Texas should have stayed number 1, right?
Right.
Was that Pate that said that? Yeah.
Yes.
After they lost, I'm like, but they just lost. We just saw it, man.
And I do actually like Josh Pate. He's been on the show before.
That's good.
But I'm like, Josh, it's good rage bait. It's really good rage bait to be like, this is
Rage
what
bait
Vegas would
pays,
say.
man. Yeah.
It's again, every time. And the second that I'm like, man, today I think I'm going to not like Josh Pate. I go and I watch a clip from a show or piece of a show. And yeah, every 3 weeks he says something bad about the Big 12. I get mad. But most of it is really good and clever. He's like old school Sports Center. He makes me feel like I'm watching old school Sports Center.
He is what you want Brett McMurphy to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just ate and left no crumbs. Coming up, you know who's eating right now? The BYU Cougars. And they're not eating edibles. They're eating
they're not eating kosher anymore.
They're eating good old-fashioned football. This is Locked On Big 12, Locked On Baylor. The game cap. My game cap is on the way, by the way. I got the West Virginia one. Hindsight's 2020. I did not know they would lose to Ohio and lose Jaheim White. But a quick question for all college football fans. If you could go back in time, sit front row at your school's biggest rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Yes, hat. For me, it'd be the game. They're not just hats. They're the best from the 80s and 90s, and they still go for the same price they did way back then. Use code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON. Get a vintage hat for $16.99. Go to thegamecaps.com, thegamecaps.com. Grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design. Use code LOCKEDON for an exclusive discount because the legends wear the game. Cameron Stuart of Locked On Baylor. ESPN's FPI, and we've already talked about how the ESPN FPI cannot be gospel, but it is now predicting the BYU Cougars at 12-0, or at least to be favored in every game they play for the rest of this college football season. Now, the Cougars got a 27-3 win over Stanford this week, and you could say that it wasn't very impressive because they were playing Stanford, who's effectively an FCS school, and I could possibly, I could give you that, but they only allowed 3 points. I think the only thing you could do better than that is allow less than 3 points. Like you did defensively what you were supposed to do. And from here, the way their schedule actually shakes out, there is Texas Tech, Iowa State, and a home game night game against TCU, home game night game against Utah. Those are going to be tough. The rest of it's kind of a cakewalk, and ESPN has predicted them to win every game, even the games on the road.
Yeah, that's I don't know how they beat Iowa State on the road. Like, come on, man. I don't know how they do that.
Iowa State.
Beerbach-Meyer was 182 total yards. Like
50% chance, 50.2% chance for BYU to win.
What do they like about that? They just like BYU's defense that much.
Well, it's the craziest part.
They got a good defense, but
is this computer hates all things Big 12. ESPN's FPI is like, oh, if you're in the Big 12, we don't like you.
Unless you're Big 12, yeah.
Unless you're BYU. And genuinely, it may be the defensive metrics that make this so appealing for the computer. But I mean, yeah, they brought back a lot. Jack Kelly's a game changer defensively. I thought LJ Martin has been a game changer as a running back. And overall, BYU has looked as probably as good as they should with a true freshman starting quarterback who missed spring ball.
Yeah, like there's nothing I can knock them on so far, right? Like, they beat an awful Stanford team, but it's like they beat them by 24 points. They held them to 3, like you said. It's like, yeah, how can I nitpick that?
It's the Houston effect a bit there, where you're like, the offense didn't blow me away, but also if the defense doesn't allow the other team to score, I can't be mad at this university.
Which to be fair, I mean, we're using that for Texas. We're using that for Georgia. We're using it for Clemson, right? So it's not like, hey, we're just using this against Big 12 teams we don't like. But yeah, I don't see how they're beating Iowa State. And we've talked about this before. And I got to be careful in how I talk about this. Because we both agree BYU's an awesome atmosphere. Awesome atmosphere to play.
Again, you and I were at that Baylor game in 22. I think it was. And I still to this day, I've been to Tuscaloosa. I've been across the SEC. It's the number one atmosphere that I've seen. It's the loudest I've seen.
But like this game, October 18th, like Utah plays in a pretty good atmosphere too.
Yeah. I mean,
and if that game's at 2:30 and not 8:30 or 9,
there's no way the game's at 2:30. The bane of my existence is having to stay up until 2 a.m. because either BYU or Utah are playing.
So you don't think it's going to be you want it to be at 2:30?
They're going to play this game at midnight. They are going to play genuinely midnight Eastern.
Okay, so Utah, though, I don't think they're totally bothered by that environment. They're one of the other Big 12 schools that does play in a pretty good environment week to week. The other one, because this one I don't think will be automatically at midnight, they're hosting TCU. You've been impressed by TCU. I've been impressed by TCU. I think North Carolina, though, is probably comparable to Stanford. I think they're both pretty bad. Yeah. I don't think TCU is terribly worried about going into that environment.
Wow.
I don't. I know. And look, this is after one game from them. But I think TCU's offense is legit. I think Josh Hoover's legit. They had struggles away from home last year, so maybe that does rear its ugly head again. All I'm saying is, like, out of those two, I think they're 1-1 in those big home games. I don't think it automatically means they're going to win every home game. It's not like Mississippi State. Let's just say that. Mississippi State plays at home. They're beating anybody. That's what I've heard. I see BYU being better than they should be this year because of the inexperience at the quarterback position. But I don't see an 11-1.
Yeah,
I think that game at Tech is really tough.
FPI still doesn't love Texas Tech. BYU a 54% chance of victory on the road in Lubbock.
All right, so that's November. So it's November 8th. So let's say Tech is, how many weeks is that into the season? Let's say Tech 6-2.
Sure, yeah.
7-2. That's pretty good for Tech. And BYU's sitting there, 7-1 or something.
If they're undefeated according to ESPN, then that's. I mean,
that favors BYU.
Yeah,
that becomes a big game for Tech at home. They'll lose. So
yes, but also
that's what favors.
Take this into account. BYU was undefeated last year and lost to Kansas, and then lost to Arizona State. Or those were back-to-back losses, I should say, and took them out of the Big 12 championship. They'll win against ECU, Colorado, West Virginia, Arizona. Like
they'll win all of those.
They'll be 6-0 against Utah. We could see College Game Day come to the Holy War. It'd be awesome.
God, that'd be fantastic.
That's where it gets hairy. But the home games, BYU just loves to win at home. It's the road game it's road game at Iowa State, road game at Texas Tech. And there's a bye week between that. Then talk about a soft landing, Cincinnati and UCF to end your season.
Yeah. So if we're saying BYU 6-0, sure, I'll buy that stock. BYU 8-0, no.
Here's why ESPN's FPI likes them so much. This is per GameOnPaper.com. Their net EPAs. This is your efficiency. This is where I judge. When I go to make bets on college football, I judge you by your efficiency. EPA is a huge stat.
How much more likely you are to score than your opponent, basically, is a net EPA.
Yeah. So their EPA is number 1 in the country.
Yeah.
They are the most efficient team literally in America right now in college football. This is not a subjective thing either. This isn't plug a bunch of stuff that I thought of in my brain into a computer. No, it's your efficiency numbers based off of your statistics and deep analytics. Tied for 11th in offensive success in the country, 10th in pass. They're tactical.
I know, but you do need to take the context and
sure, they're not deadly. They're but that's where efficiency gives you context. You can be efficient in losses. You can be efficient against number 1 or efficient against number 133. That's where EPA helps you out a little bit more than everything else. They're the number 1 rush defense in the country.
Yeah.
Number 5 overall defense. And their net EPA per drive is number 2 in America.
Their defense should keep them in every game. I'll say that.
Yeah. I mean,
they shouldn't. I think they will lose to Iowa State. I think that's a foregone conclusion based on what we know of these teams right now. But will they lose by 3 touchdowns? I really doubt it. I don't expect that.
Man, I don't think TCU is going to come into. I don't think TCU is going to see another atmosphere like this all year. Like the one they're
not at home.
Yeah, Lavelle Edwards. So when you're like, they're ready for it. I don't know.
There was just so maybe I'm thinking they just put so much into that first game, and I'm not going to sit here and say North Carolina is equal to Lavelle Edwards, but there was so much hype put into that game, and you knew all the bright lights are going to be there, and they just took care of them. They just absolutely worked him in that game. That's why I'm thinking they're not going to be totally bothered, and they're going to come in there with a ton of confidence at that point. I think TCU's a real good team. I think they'll make a run at this thing.
We could see Josh Hoover and Sawyer Robertson. We're talking about when TCU and BYU square off.
I can't wait.
Are those two guys going to New York?
Yeah, that's going to be.
Well, obviously we'll see them play, which is going to be awesome. But I'm saying we could be talking about this is after, I believe, BYU or after TCU and Baylor play themselves, we're still probably talking about both those quarterbacks as Heisman guys.
So interesting note, by the way, on TCU, looking up their schedule and where they play, their 2 toughest road games before BYU have, I think, gotten significantly less tough. Those would be Arizona State and Kansas State. Those are ones where all of a sudden, that's not an 8 p.m. kickoff. That's not maybe not even a sellout.
College football on the CW, baby.
It's not exactly the billing that it was. So I don't know if it's going to be the atmosphere. So you're probably right in that respect that that'll be the first big atmosphere that they play in. I mean, they go to West Virginia a couple weeks before. They almost got College Game Day, West Virginia.
Close. Darn close. This has been It Always Will Be. That's Cameron Stuart of Locked On Baylor. Locked On. Thanks for making this your first listen every single day. It's crossover with Baylor and Dose Grande.